People, I'm back again. Now, allegedly, Fabrizio Romano has shedded some light on Calafiori of Bologna, who obviously, throughout Italy's campaign in the Euros, which came to an end last night, has done quite well. Allegedly, Bakayoko has spoken about his future, the young Belgium international at the Euros. Team News and Tix is saying that Isaac and Hato deals might not necessarily be dead. And there's a couple of other bits and pieces we can go over. Now, 99.9% of these things are BS, as we know, but it provides great talking points. If you guys give me a second, I'll share my screen and we'll get right into what we need to get into, people. As usual, big up yourselves. I mean, the screen should be sharing by now. What's going on here? Don't do this. All right, here we go, people. Big up yourselves. On Calafiori, Romano has said on his fellow Italian, for Calafiori, Arsenal made an inquiry to understand the situation of the player. I mean, it's also normal when you're looking for a left-footed player, a left-footed defender. Calafiori is one of the best available now on the market. Arsenal have been showing their interest in the situation, but at the moment, it's not a negotiation. There is no bid. There's no contact with Bologna. So it's just an inquiry to understand the situation of Calafiori. Now, he's been linked with Arsenal, Liverpool, Real Madrid, etc., etc. And you'd imagine now, with the Euros being done, I'm sure he needs some time to, cover his emotions. I'm sure he's disappointed that Italy have gone out. Obviously, he's played a lot of club and international football, but where his future is resolved, whether it's to Juventus, Arsenal, Liverpool, Real Madrid, an unknown club that hasn't necessarily been linked with him, or remaining at Bologna, because we got to remember they qualified for the Champions League. All options are on the table, people. So it is what it is. I mean, I've done a video on him, tactically. I think he would fit Arsenal like a glove. Moving away from that, Emile Smith-Rowe can leave Arsenal for 25 million, but there is no rush in him to leave, allegedly, people. Now we see as low as 25 million and as high as 45 million. 1 minute there's rumors that he's intent on somehow salvaging his Arsenal future. Others are saying that he recognizes he needs to leave. No clue why this is frozen, but apparently Smith-Rowe can go for 25 million, but is in no rush to leave. As you know, the 23-year-old could be sold after a season in the shadows under Mikel Arteta. Crystal Palace have been linked with him, and he, hasn't scored for Arsenal in a very long time and only made 13 appearances last season. And obviously, with Elise leaving and maybe potentially Eze, Crystal Palace need to bring some attackers. And I think Smith-Rowe probably does need to leave. From a fan's point of view, me personally, I don't want him to go, but it is what it is where that's concerned, people. Moving on, apparently 4 Premier League clubs have officially contacted the reps of Ferdi Kalagoglu, who is obviously with Turkey at the Euros, and statistically, he's created a lot of chances at the Euros. Now, like Calafiori, he's a left-sided defender, so it's easy to link us with such people. Moving away from that, again, Team News and Tix has said, someone from Tottenham is telling me that they think are being told that we are going for Isaac. Obviously, with Arsenal, we can go for Isaac as much as we want. As Newcastle have shown, they want him to sign a new deal. They need to offer big money or you can forget about it. And allegedly, Chelsea have made inquiries, hasn't quite worked out, and they've gone as far as to offering three to 4 players. I think I saw Chalobah's name, Broya's name, maybe even Gallagher to Newcastle to try and bridge the gap. Now, who knows exactly what is going to happen in that regard. Team News and Tix has also said on his Patreon page, allegedly, despite renewing his contract with Ajax, Arsenal still want Hato and have not given up on signing him. Now, Hato's got a lot to consider. Obviously, stability for a young player. You play well at 18 years of age. You need to move on. How many 18-year-olds are playing from the age of 17, have captained a big club like Ajax, let alone playing week in, week out? The move will happen for him. He's only 18, but I would love him at the carpet. I think he's a gem of a player. I think long-term he'll be a left-sided centre-half. I think he can play in the inverted role that Mikel Arteta demands. Obviously, we saw how Timber, also of Ajax at the time, fitted in at Arsenal, so it makes sense. I'm not too sure. Obviously, him signing a new deal has obviously strengthened Ajax's hand. We seem to have a decent, relationship with Ajax. Even if it was a thing where you put the money down for him and you say, you know what, you stay there for a year like what we did initially when we signed Saliba, I think it'd be a big signing, and I would have loved him and Sesko at the carpet. You lot know I'm a big fan of Joshua Kimmich and Dani Almo. Manchester City are apparently interested. Now, Kimmich's future is subject to speculation due to his contract. Obviously, where Lokonga is concerned, people, it appears that he will be joining Sevilla. Some reports say you'll join on loan with an obligation. Some say a buy option. Apparently, again, Google Translate hasn't been kind. Apparently, we want to impose the sale for 15 million euros, which is obviously a hit on what we initially spent on him. But at the end of the day, he's got 2 years technically on his deal, 1 year with an option of another. Hasn't pulled up any trees at Arsenal, Luton, or Crystal Palace. So he probably needs to move on and get his career going again, people. Fabian Ruiz could still leave PSG this summer. He has excelled during the Euros and used it as a platform to remind people of his quality. He's 28 years of age, so he's experienced. He would fit a gap in our left-sided 8 role, and I think he'll thrive in the Premier League. Obviously, at PSG, he looks like a shadow of the player he was initially at Betis, and you're currently seeing play for Spain. If there was a way of getting that done, for me, bring him to the carpet, man. I do think we need a midfielder. Keeping up the theme with midfielders, us and Barcelona seem to consistently be linked with the same individuals. Onana is Deco's favourite for the pivot position. Mikel Moreno and Kimmich are also well placed, but Flick prefers Kimmich because he believes the player can fit in his team with Gundogan and Frankie de Jong. There's actually even been rumours Gundogan could be sold. You know, I think there's an admiration for Onana. You can't rule out Arsenal signing him, but I don't think he's that high up on the wish list. I've done a tactical video on him and Mikel Moreno of Sociedad, who, you know, technically they're both still, all three of these players in Moreno, Onana and Kimmich are still at the Euros. So where midfield is concerned, we'll have to see. You lot know I've made a video on Joshua Zirkzee. Apparently he was going PSG and he's even spoken with Luis Enrique. This says Borussia Dortmund are stealing the march on the talented Frenchman, people. Arsenal continue to take a serious interest in his that, but the prospect of the Gunners completing a deal is slim. So that's where it is. Apparently they'll only start talks at 110 million pounds, which equates to 130 million, which would obviously be another record signing after Declan Rice. You know, you could throw Ramsdale into the mix and see what happens and whatnot, but who knows? And I can't imagine Arsenal and Chelsea, despite, you know, Isaac being a great player and highly sought after, would want to spend that. Obviously, to a degree, Newcastle are probably overpricing him because they know they can get top money for him and because they don't want the man to leave. Rightly so, really, if I'm honest with you. If they manage to hold on to him and Guimaraes, it's lit. And you would have seen they're close to completing the sale of Elliot. What's his name? Elliot Anderson or Elliot something? You know, the youngster who came through at Newcastle, who's going to Nottingham Forest. For 25 million. So it seems like where PSR is concerned, they're on the case. I'm tired of speaking about Osimhen. Allegedly, his future is still in the balance, and Arsenal, Chelsea, and PSG are all still monitoring his situation. What can they say that we don't know? I think he's the player I've done the most transfer news videos on, people. You would have known that, you know, Arsenal were interested in Ryan McKay, though. Apparently, he's elected to join Manchester City instead of Arsenal from Chelsea, people. There were some rumours Arsenal and Liverpool were keen and that they were close to bringing him in. Again, it's happening. He's there. And this is why I say what's reported and what's actually happening in the world of football are very different things. Romano said Arsenal made proposal and they're currently leading the race to sign him at the time, people. He's expected to leave. Well, that was at the time when Romano said that. And obviously, life has changed since then, people. So it is what it is. Where Bakayoko is concerned, on his future, he said, I have never said I want to leave PSV. Others have done that in my place. If something comes up, you have to think about it. But now is not the time. I'm not thinking about a transfer. I'm thinking about how I can do my best here. I have to be honest. I'm more concerned with playing more here than a transfer. I'm thinking about how I can do my best even more to prove myself to the coach even more. That transfer, that's for after the Euros, which, I mean, it shows he's got his head screwed on, you know, really and truly. What more do you expect him to say? We would have seen this yesterday, but Team News and Ticks and Charles Watts said there's 2 players this season Arsenal spoke to in the early part of the year that the club just didn't like, be it Arteta or other people at the club didn't like them. So them moves never materialized. That's probably more common than people think, which is true. I wonder if that was over Ivan Toney and the other player. God knows who that is, people. So let me know your thoughts. Again, we know we need to do things where outgoings are concerned. We're probably going to sell Mika Beref, Charlie Patino, Smith Rowe, Eddie Nketiah, Aaron Ramsdale, if I haven't said that, Reece Nelson, Lokonga, Tavares. Tierney's injured, but they're doing stuff where outgoings are concerned, and you don't know where Zinchenko, Kirill, Gabriel Jesus, Thomas Partey's futures. I think the club will listen to the right offers. But we're set to get 15% of a sell-on clause for Amari Hutchinson. He's been at Chelsea for 2 minutes. They're somehow selling him for 20 million and we'll pocket 3 million from that. So I do think where Chelsea and City are concerned, we could learn how to develop and nurture talent so that we can get a decent fee for them if they cannot progress to the first team. So shout out to Amari Hutchinson. It's, you know, people can say what they want, laugh at the guy, oh, you didn't make it at Chelsea, you had no chance of breaking into the first team, which you could say that, but had he have stayed at Arsenal, would he have the stature in the game he has right now? I don't know. He's technically played in the Premier League for Chelsea. Did he play for Arsenal in that? He's done well for Ipswich. He'll probably be in the Premier League again because it seems like he's going there, and he's asserted himself in the world of football. So where player development, I would say preparing people for practical first team football, finding the right loans, making money. That's something the club could learn people. But that seems to be everything that concerns our football club for now. As you know, any news, talking points, rumors, you know, I'll get videos and all of those kind of things out for you lot. Let me know your thoughts on everything discussed. Most importantly, stay blessed, stay safe. Peace.